Welcome back, guys. Philosophy JKD here, back once again. I've been putting out a lot of more gaming content, but I'm here to really talk about One Piece chapters 1100 and 1101. Spoilers to this point. I meant to make a video earlier, but life gets in the way. I deal with a lot of different things, as one might say, or I could just say, hey, life happens. You know, a young father. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. So far in One Piece, I'm seeing that we're having a lot of synchronicities happen. Synchronicity was a term uh, hashed out by Carl G. Jung. Okay, you can look at synchronicity as the new active form of something called quantum entanglement in physics. But quantum entanglement in our reality when it deals with people. So currently, many things I've said have been correct, and nothing's actually been truly disproven at all to this point. Um, I've looked at many things. Okay, so I look at Bonnie and Kuma's relationship, and I was right. I figured that Jory Bonnie was actually a clone. I didn't think she would be a clone of some other person. I anticipated her to actually be a clone of herself or a combination of her mother and her father. Because to date, I remember back in 2013, 14, you know, I have friends, they would show me tabloids from China and how it costs a couple $100,000 to clone your dog. But I know that you can splice genetics that we've done it here for decades. But on record, we've done it for about 20 years. America can clone your pets. We can use CRISPRs and genetically edit diseases out. The future is interesting, okay? But like I said at the beginning, One Piece is art imitating life, just like the greater pieces of work that you'll find, okay, that actually get any type of funding or any type of support. I don't care if you're watching Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't care if you're watching Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is more historical, looks like. I don't care if you're watching One Punch Man. All of these animes, just like One Piece, have links to certain philosophical societies. Whether that philosophical society is what we would consider to be science, or whether that philosophical society will be considered what we would consider to be history. Okay, One Piece in particular is more like an R story, like a one piece of the histories around the planet. So when it comes to Bonnie, okay, we find out now. Looks like I would think that it's not a misdirection by Oda. I think that at this point currently, yes, she took the form of Connie, the queen of the previous leader, but I believe that she's really a clone of her own self, which makes sense because that technology was created. We have patents for moving one's mind from one entity to another entity, but normally in studies it didn't go to other bodies. It normally went to an AI or a cyborg type body, like in something called Westworld. So I guess I'm right in a way, but I'm half wrong. But that's the thing with things like this. Anime can always play with things live time and then make changes. What's his name? Tagashi, for example. Jujutsu Kaisen is looking a lot more like um, Hunter x Hunter in the sense Tagashi admittedly writes out at least three endings, a maximal outcome probability, or his maximal probability is saying this will make the majority or the maximum of my fans happy. Okay, Then he has a neutral one, okay, where he says, oh, this is what will make me happy. And then he has a negative probability outcome where he knows it'll make a lot of his fans unhappy. But in reality, it's just like kind of in the world when you do too many good things, people begin to remember you for the major mistake that you have to make. If your major mistake is big enough, that's all they'll remember you for. They won't call you a hero. They won't call you this or that, like a positive influence. They'll focus on the negative thing that you did. You could spend 10 years doing great things and then spend 2 or 3 years making one big old mess of the world. And the world powers that to be use that negative 2 or 3 years to identify you as a negative force. That's happened in history to multiple people. You know? No, I don't think like I said at the start, most of my life I never met one evil person ever. Most people do what they think is the best thing to do at that particular time in space. Okay? Therefore, there are no real quote unquote true evil people. They may know that what they're doing is negative to the majority, but to them, in their particular mind space, in their law of love, do what thy wills, the whole the law. They do what they feel is best for them, which leads me further to Kuma. In chapter 1100, we find out that Kuma is willing to take the side of the opponents of the structure of the kingdoms that the revolution army that he joined is fighting and opposing currently. He did it, and some would say it's selfish, but his track record is that he is a self-sacrificing person who's willing to take on other people's pain. He's willing to be long-suffering. Isn't that the definition of the Archangel Michael? He who was long-suffering, wounds from the great dragon that hurts this dimension or the particular world that you reside in. So in that sense, Kuma is like an archangel. Hence, he carries a Bible around. You could almost say he's like a pastor or a priest. Those are very interesting words, pastor and priest. I suggest somebody looks up those words. At the same time, there's a supernova by the name of Monk, Mad Monk. They call him Mad Monk or Rouge or a Rouge. Now, Oda likes to play with ages and names and happenings, or like events, if you will, settings, where he likes to play with inversions. And I think this is the best cure for what we actually deal with today. Some people say history rhymes. Some people say history repeats itself. But what we do know when we look at Egyptian mystery school, when we look at the Old Testament and the Bible, there are seasons for things. Seasons rhyme. So if you look at happenings in a physical world that we live on, we have seasons that don't have a time frame per se, but we see certain things happen when we're in the proper season. Therefore, if you understand the season, you got the rhyme, and which you can now sing the song of the world that you're living in. So Mad Monk Rouge, okay, and Kuma, Bartholomew Kuma, they're the same age. They both seem to be connected to the idea of the sun god Nika. Okay, now this theory, I'm going to hash it out a little bit more, okay? But it's not necessarily 100%. I think there's some wiggle room to play with this thing. And this is going to sound crazy when you hear it, okay? Okay? So, when you go to the Bible, per se, And the reason I say the Bible, I know it's a sensitive topic in the States because this was established to be a Masonic and Christian country. Therefore, most of us were made or directed to take a certain perspective of Christianity that was mostly a literal perspective. When in reality, we need to be looking into the eschatology and the actual science behind what was being said in the text. Therefore, since we didn't or have not, we get into concrete perspectives and think good and bad, like we do in particular movies, where everybody connected to the Justice League or everybody connected to the Avengers is going to be the good guy in the movie. That's not how the real world works. Think about how it was when you were a child. Think about the things that you tried to do right that turned out wrong. And because people don't understand, maybe you continue to try to do right, or you shun that and became bad and fulfilled something called a fulfilling prophecy, where people typecast you in certain positions, but you're not really that. I've had teachers in middle school try to do that to me. Not because I did anything wrong, because people group up on people that try to do good things. And if they are not in the right mind space and time and space, the person that is actually happy and seeks to do good is the outlier to them, and therefore are viewed as weaker and attacked. That's what happened with Bartholomew Kuma to this point. He's been taken advantage of, one, and his kindness has been taken for as a weakness by the world government in the One Piece epic thus far. Mad Monk, Bartholomew Kuma, a pastor or priest. I say that because those are Western terms. We use them as Western terms today. A monk is of an Eastern term, which therefore you get the synchronicity of something called congruency, where you have East and West, you have North and South. Okay. Oddly enough, when you look at the five Gorosei, I believe they parallel, okay? 2/5 of the Gorosei are represented in the new age to come for Bartholomew Kuma, okay, and Mad Monk Orochi. However, I do believe that Shanks, okay, take it or leave it, and Blackbeard, although the mythology says that Blackbeard is destined to kill Shanks, like I said previously, maybe he kills a certain function of Shanks. I believe that Shanks parallels the Gorosei over finance. Because if you look at finance, just like today in our economy, have a plunge protection team to protect the economy. Our finance sector manipulates inflation to try to keep our currency and therefore our economy solvent due to in conjunction to the debt. I believe that's what Shank represents in the physical sense. He's done everything to try to avert large wars, keep the peace, keep power pieces in play, lest he have to replace them or take on the mantle on top of his own mantle. That's pretty hard to do. That, in essence, is like going into a country, invading the country, destabilizing the country, occupying the country, and sucking hundreds of billions, if not $1 trillion plus out of your country over the span of 10 years, and destabilizing your own situation and making the future of the current currency and country you topple to become unstable. Example, the invasions of Iraq, the occupation of Iraq, the effect on our economy and our debt, the invasions in Iraq, 20-year invasion, and occupation, 20 years, and the effect on our economy. Prolonged wars destabilize worlds, nations, economies, kingdoms, peoples, even the poor are destabilized by a country that is destabilized. Because if you depend on charity, what happens when there is no charity for you to have? Therefore, Shanks, to me, is on the left side of the power. Those should be the Gorosei, believe it or not. The Gorosei, if they are the visual piece, then they're figurehead. However, if the king is visible and they have 5 people controlling them, it's an inversion, synchronicity, wherein the president, sorry, or the king, whatever you want to call it, if the president or king can't tell you what he wants to have it happen, or the king can't say what he wants to have happen and have it happen, then he is under the power of a republic that treat him as a figurehead. This is historically true. We're seeing this right now. People with good intentions, we've seen for decades, presidents with brilliant minds. We don't know the brilliant minds of the people that are in the republic controlling them. But there was a time in history, I would say back to George Washington, when he was actually a president. And they asked him, do you want to be a king or a president? And he said, I'll just be a president. I want a limited term. He didn't even win the office of president. He wasn't that charismatic, but out of respect for his gravitas, out of respect for his stay-to-itness, out of the fact that he was a general who lost most of his wars, but put his life and had to see his people die. His life was lesser in jeopardy than his crew, because in reality, in wars of old, there was an agreement where generals were not killed in battle. See, they see how they play with our lives, and they're not really on the hook. So the inversion is when the republic is never put on the cross, when the republic can never be replaced, when the deep state never faces repercussions for how they play with our lives for power, money, influence, wartime virulence, wartime perspective, where now you have people going out fighting for the deep state and they never face any retribution because most people don't even know who they are. And then you have all these, another republic outside the general cabinet of czars. So the opposite to Shanks, being on the left side of the power, was it uses deception, uses subterfuge, uses the political sciences rather than the philosophical sciences of Bartholomew Kuma and Mad Monk Oroge. You end up with the counterpart to Shanks, which I believe is actually Marshall D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. Marshall D. Teach. Shanks. Oddly enough, they're the same age. Wow. That's kind of crazy, huh? Well, what are the odds of Shanks and Blackbeard being the same age and Bartholomew Kuma being the same age as Mad Monk Oroge? Yeah. So, if Shank represents stabilization and keeping of the financial system, but also willing to live the life of a normal person, the antithesis, okay, or the opposite congruently, okay, because 2 negatives equal a positive, okay, a negative and a positive, okay, equal to negative, a positive and a positive equal a positive. The energy in that sense, Blackbeard represents imbalance, but also the desire to let other people do as they will. Just like Shanks would like people to do as they will, unless it leads to imbalance. Blackbeard will let people do as they do as long as it doesn't lead to his imbalance of power. Blackbeard doesn't seek to maintain the financial system. He seeks to become part of the financial system in such a way where the financial system becomes something he can manipulate from a top-down perspective or a trickle-down perspective, rather than a Shanks who operates to maintain the structure from a bottom-up, a secretive Illuminati, or a secretive shadow presence that brings about balance, like a general person brings about balance to an economy or a nation. We do it unconsciously, but Shanks is conscious of it. Therefore, he's a uh, conscious person and a body that is unconscious. Blackbeard is a conscious being and a body that is unconscious, being his crew that have a bunch of different goals. Therefore, when you don't have synchronicity and you don't have a one pointedness or a foci or a focus, you don't have enough energy to bring about any true change. Therefore, the change that they seek to bring about will not happen. Therefore, the only change that can truly happen is through the top down manipulation of a Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach, or a Rox D. Zebek. Hey, remember we talking about Rox D. Zebek? His skill set was to be a organizer, which leads me to my fifth Gorosei. In previous episodes or previous videos, I told you I believe that Marshall D. Teach and the person that we are calling Buggy the Clown or Buggy the Star, which is not his real name, are actually twins, fraternal twins. Twins of fraternal nature don't have to look like each other. The zygotes split. Therefore, the phenotype or the physical type of that particular person doesn't match the person born on the same day as them through the same birthing period, which oddly enough gives you 3 and 2. 3 and 2. I bet you when Oda looks at this, not my video, but if I'm correct, you'll find that the Gorosei of the previous age, as the first, second, third, and fourth seasons, you're going to find that the right side of the Gorosei have the exact same edges. You'll find out that there are 2 other younger ones who are not there, as they say in the anime, that are of a later generation. Interesting enough, electricity doesn't work with alternating current without a ground wire and alternating current. So therefore, Buggy is like the ground wire that is the center king's and queen's chamber, leading it upward and downward. Okay? Take it or let it alone. Take it or let it alone. But it was prophesied in the One Piece during the arc when they were going to the underwater kingdom, okay? Fishman Island. That the psychic or the prophet of the Fishman Island said, we got to do something about Monkey D. Luffy. This man is going to destroy Fishman Island. And we know that Fishman Island resides where? Under the red line. Under Jack and the Beanstalk. Underneath the Bimbin. Underneath the upward circular fire. Or underneath the pylon, or underneath the pyramid that reaches upward through the heavens, connecting the heavens. So to destroy one on that is to destroy them all, bringing back 1 level instead of a 3 level. Take it or leave it. Let me know what you think about that, okay, guys? I don't want to make this too long, but I'm probably gonna talk a little bit more because I've broken down the names and I've broken down where Luffy's position is actually, and beyond the Gorosei. And you look at Vivi, you look at Monkey D. Luffy's name, okay? Luffy refers to love. The sun is considered the greatest form of love we have for people who study and practice paganism. The idea that the love of the sun the love of the light of the sun is the largest impact on our general existence day by day. It is the largest impact on our weather patterns. Without the sun, where the further we are away from the sun, the colder it is. The closer we are to the sun, the warmer it is, generally speaking, unless the sun is at particular sun cycles. The sun has cycles that are not rigid, but are semi-rigid. We can basically predict the sun cycles out 26,000 years. Let's round it down, like the forefathers did and the Egyptians did. Let's say 25,000 years. However, okay, take it or leave it. You don't got to. You don't listen to me. Look it up. Everything that I say, okay, is happening in the world, and go back and you look it up. And if you have a complaint or you have something to add to it, feel free to drop in the message. Or if you think I'm on point, drop it to me privately or in the message. I ain't getting a penny from this, okay? I will very, very soon. I know how to get monetized, but I'm just doing this for absolute wisdom, knowledge, and truth. Life, liberty, and freedom, okay? Take it or let it alone. Or listen to me and look into it and then gain power, okay? So the sun, when you look at paganism, is the largest love source that we have. And in essence, we are love light. We are light manifested in the lower form as a lower elemental that we call physical. But there are beings comprised of the atmosphere of strictly energies that reside on the sun. So we would consider them higher beings or gaseous beings, in some essence, higher forms of liquid beings. But on this planet, we have higher level liquid beings, as we do also have breath or gas in our body, and we are 70+% liquid, and we have flesh. Any entity that exists in a place will be comprised of its atmosphere. Those are basics of life and the universe. Okay? If an entity goes to a place where it doesn't sustain its homeostasis, then that entity will die or be dispersed. Period. That's just how it is, man. You know, science has lied to us since we've been kids, but we have to get a certain level of foundational knowledge and wisdom in order for us to move forward beyond the misdirection and the misinformation that is currently going on. Okay? So, like I said, breaking all three, connecting them all to each other. Pagans believed love, light. Connecting all three of the worlds would give you a one piece. But the one piece, okay, as it is dimensionally connected on a plane, it becomes easier for the general initiate to view that thing beyond the general dimensions of their existence, connected to where their mind state is. The one piece. So right now, there are people in One Piece that had access to the space bases. Did I say space base? I meant Sky Island. Sorry. So you have people connected to the Dark Continent. I'm sorry. The One Piece. No, I'm sorry. You have the Dark Continent, another Dark Continent. That's Hunter x Hunter. Or the Sky Island. All right. You have people connected to the uh, outer space that we would call outer space. Emu's coming back. When you look at Vivi's name, the way she connects to Luffy, look at her name. V is like a valley. The I is like a straight line. The V is like a valley. The I is like a straight line. When you connect it all, you have rises and falls, and you have times and period where there's times of conscious purity, where people, if you will, follow the yellow brick road or go up the beanstalk or transcends through the levels, or when they have a straight and narrow path, if you will. That's the straight line. Okay? But take it or leave it. You can look at Monkey D's Luffy name, okay? You look at the M. Okay, take it or leave it. You got a rise and a fall and a rise and a fall. You have a D that's a half piece. You got an L that refers to love, but love, when you look at it as it is only a right angle. There are 4 right angles in a full circle, 4 seasons. Take it or leave it, okay? I don't care if anybody takes this. If you share it, great, I guess. At least knowledge is power. As we increase knowledge and power, like I said previously, whistleblowers coming out. Now you see it. If you're in the zeitgeist, if you're in the mind of that conscious wave and you ain't falling for the flood, everything I tell you is going to happen. Maybe not exactly how I say it because everybody sees to a color darkly. For me, it's been a gift and a curse. It's made me a lot of money, but because of my ego, because of my care to bring people with me, I've made a lot of money and I've lost some money too. But I realize that we're coming through a great awakening, and I'm not worried about my place in this thing. You know, the truth will set me or make me free. The truth will make me free. The truth has made me free, but the truth has set me free because now people can see and understand, and I'm not so alone because people, even though they may not admit that they're wrong, okay, people can see that maybe they need to be reformed, just like our ideas, our philosophies, our theologies need to go under reformation. So that's where we are right now in time and space, okay? One Piece is like a little bit ahead of time. It's almost like tomorrow's news today, in a way. When you delve deeper into the One Piece, you start to see a fingerprint of creation. You see the magical or the sacred loops that foreshadow things that are to happen. Okay? I'm talking about AI. Is it in One Piece? Yes, it's been there. Bonnie, Kuma, the technologies, AI with the ability to manipulate weather patterns, the gates of justice that can manipulate the tides of weather manipulation technology, earthquake manipulation technology through a devil fruit. I'm talking Whitebeard there, okay? So to know one, okay, is to know all. In one, there's all. In all, there's one. This is a quote from the Buddha. Okay. So it's not that any particular book or persuasion has everything. With the right understanding and perspective, we can put all the pieces together and we can make this puzzle show a very interesting and beautiful picture that through the sight of that picture will create the destiny that every person on the planet would rather have than what we are experiencing right now. Guys, if you made it to this point, I'd like you to subscribe. That's one. Okay. And if you think it's worthy of sharing, then share it. But first, I want you to subscribe and share. Thank you for your time and your patience. And God bless if you believe in God. If not, may the peace that the universe provide you be what goes with you going forward. And thank you. Bye bye.